I've been playing Brawl Stars for almost 9 years, way before it went global, and in that time, I've had to learn many things. Things that, looking back, I wish I would have known when I first started playing. So for all you newer players out there, this video is for you, but also you veterans. I need you guys to leave your best tips that I don't cover in the comments down below. The future Brawl Stars players of the world are depending on you. Starting off, we have the most important thing to know about Brawl Stars, and that is the brawlers themselves and the meta surrounding them. Meta meaning which brawlers are good and not so good in the moment. If you ever plan on reaching Masters in Ranked or getting those Prestige 3s, it's important to know which brawlers are good and which ones you might want to stay away from for at least a while until they get buffed. And with that meta changing almost every update, I always suggest that you always look at the most recent tier lists that you can find. Some of my friends like Kairos, Spin, and Bobby, they make these lists every single month, so always be sure to check them out to get the best insight on who you should be looking out for. And you can also watch this video on which brawlers you should max out first after you finish watching this one. And speaking of maxing out your brawlers, this leads me to my next tip, which is to always manage your resources. Now I know that it may be tempting just to instantly max out every new brawler you unlock, but I'd suggest that you at least get most of your brawlers to power level 9 before finishing off those ones to max. I say this because there's always a chance that you can unlock their star power or gadgets, which are both usable at level 9, and you can get them for free from star drops or other kinds of boxes. And those last couple of levels, they're really expensive, and honestly, you can still push up really high in trophies with power 9. It's tough, but it's doable. But you know what's not tough? Checking out today's sponsor. Cookie Run is an iconic franchise, so when they released their newest game, Oven Smash, I was excited to play it. And thanks to Dev Sisters for sponsoring today's video. Oven Smash is a new top-down 3v3 casual action arena battler, and if you've played other games like this, I think you'll feel right at home. They've launched the game with 20 cookies to choose from, and there is a playstyle for everyone. From long range to up close and personal. Whatever way you like to battle, there are cookies for you. And whatever way you like to look, you've got options there too. From different costumes that are customizable to emotes, sprays, and many other cosmetics so you can go into battle in style. The game modes are always rotating so you can choose what you want to play. From the classic 10-player free-for-all in Wild Royale to a handful of 3v3 modes like Castle Crashers, which is a payload style where you push the cart. Or turtle in this case. Once you get it to the other side, you win. There's also fun spell cards in-game to keep things fresh, and overall, I've just been having a ton of fun playing. And if you want to get in on the fun, you can do so by downloading the game via the link in the description or the pinned comment. And thanks again to Dev Sisters for sponsoring today's video. Now, if you don't want to wait for the RNG gods to bless you in your drops, you could spend a few bucks in the game if you really want to max out your account as soon as possible. But if I'm being completely honest, you really don't need to spend any money in Brawl Stars. I say this because I just finished my free-to-play series where I have 100 Prestige, Masters in Ranked, tons of cool skins, and I did it all for free. But if you plan on playing Brawl Stars for a while and there comes a time you want to buy something, so long as you can afford to, of course, I have to answer the question that you will inevitably ask yourself. What should I spend my money on? Well, if you want the best value in the game, I always recommend you buy the Brawl Pass Plus, as it comes with so many more resources than the regular Brawl Pass. The Pro Pass is good too, but it's not quite the value that the Brawl Pass Plus is. And as a bonus, you get some cool cosmetics that you otherwise wouldn't get without a ton of luck or waiting quite a while. But if you want to win as many trophies as possible in as little time as possible, I would heartily recommend that you do that in Brawl Ball. Not only is it the most popular mode in the game, but it's the one that you can gain trophies for in a hurry. And if you find yourself in a game with some really good randoms, be sure to hit that play again button, as there's always a chance that you can make some friends in the process. But if you don't want to deal with randoms and you're more of a solo 1v1 kind of player, then I would suggest you play duels whenever it is in rotation. I mean, sure, solo Showdown is in rotation 24/7, but not only are the matches a lot longer, but also you're going to have to deal with teamers once you get past a certain amount of trophies. And let me tell you, there's nothing worse than losing 10 trophies because somebody refused to play a mode called Solo Showdown as it was intended. Plus, in duels, matches can finish much quicker, and you can earn trophies for 3 brawlers per match instead of just 1 at a time. I mean, Brawl Ball is still faster, no doubt, but there are options. Now, I already mentioned how important coins and power points are, but there is one resource that I haven't mentioned yet, and that's credits. These are what you will be needing to unlock new brawlers from the Star Road. Now earlier I said that you should be leveling up and picking the best brawlers, but that advice mostly applies to the more competitive players, and honestly, most players in this game are on the casual side, and that's totally cool. And not only that, but there are also some brawlers that you just don't vibe with, whether it's due to their mechanics, how hard they are to play, or whatever. So that leads me to my next tip, which is find your main. Every brawler is somebody's favorite. Yes, even Rosa. And so long as you practice and get used to how the brawlers play, you're going to find one that really resonates with you. If you like to get up close and personal, you can play Edgar, El Primo, or Bull. If you like to stay back and play more of a control style, Penny and Jessie are pretty good options early on. Maybe you want to play the role of a healer. Well, Poco, Byron, or even the new brawler Globert. Yes, we're calling him Globert, not Glowy. They're all good choices. And that is the beauty of Brawl Stars. There are so many brawlers making for so many different ways to play, whether you're playing alone or with friends. Although it is way more fun to play with friends. And speaking of friends, I suggest that you play in a team whenever you can. Now, in events such as the Championship Challenge or in the new Brawler releases, I cannot stress how important it is to get together with a buddy or two. Not only will playing with teammates improve your odds of winning, but your overall experience is going to be a lot more fun and less frustrating. If you strategize and plan accordingly, you'll surely win most of your matches before the game even starts. Unless the other team's just better, which happens. It is tough to find an active club when you first start, and that's something that Brawl Stars needs to address. But once you start moving up in trophies, your options will open up and you'll find a place to join that's active and you'll be making friends in no time. Once you have those friends, one thing that you should always plan out before starting any match is your team comp, especially in ranked. Now, it may sound fun to play Bull, El Primo, and Rosa, a team consisting of some big and bad tanks, but you definitely won't be laughing when you spawn in and see the other team consists of, say, Shelly, Bee, and Max, brawlers that have the range and added abilities to counter them all. Basically, what I'm saying is that every brawler has their strengths and weaknesses, and instead of building a team that solely shines in one aspect and spectacularly failing in everything else, it's best to create a team that's balanced where everyone can cover for each other's weaknesses. For example, Crow is a great assassin with damage and control, but doesn't have a lot of hit points. Well, a brawler like, say, Buster can cover for Crow thanks to his high health and his super. However, Buster doesn't have a lot of range and he isn't invincible, as well as he's not the quickest on his feet. Enter Jay Young, whose healing and speed boosts help his teammates stay alive and move quickly across the map. But then again, Jay Young doesn't really excel at map control. Which brings us full circle back to Crow, whose slow gadget and non-stop poisons offer great control. So in the end, you've got a team that consists of a strong attacker, a protective tank, and some reliable support. That, my friends, is team building 101. Now, I'm not saying that these brawlers are the best in class, even for this example, but the point is you have to build a team that covers all bases. But it's not just brawler comps that are important. You also need to learn map layouts and which brawlers shine in specific maps. For example, if you're playing on a map with a lot of walls, a brawler like Rico is more than likely going to be a very good pick since his shots travel further when bouncing off walls, or he can get into spots that you wouldn't normally get to. Or if you're playing on a map with lots of water, brawler like Angelo or Eve can do really good since they can move over water, and that gives them a huge advantage. There's also positioning and taking lanes, which are crucial to winning. You're going to always want to pay attention to which enemy is in which lane, your matchups. For example, if you're playing Surge and there's an El Primo on the enemy team and he takes the right-hand side of the lane, you should obviously take the same lane as El Primo, as you're going to have the advantage thanks to your longer range and that super that counters aggressive brawlers. But just because a brawler has long range doesn't mean that you should expect to just auto-aim with them and win. Practicing your aim is extremely important, and some brawlers really reward you for doing so. Mei Z is the perfect example. She needs absolute perfect precision to hit her targets, as she has the worst auto-aim among every brawler in the game because of the slight delay of her shots. However, if you hit them, boy does she do a lot of damage. And then there's other brawlers like Lou or Piper, for example, who need good aim to work, and they both have star powers that can reward you for being able to land your shots, making them even more rewarding to master. Bottom line is that, aside from a few brawlers that are very close range or have very wide cone style shots, don't auto-aim, just practice aiming, and you trust me, you will be better off for it. But it's not enough just to master aiming. You also need to learn how to dodge the enemy shots, or juke. For example, if you're trying to get from one spot to another, running in a straight line is not the best idea since you'll be a very easy and predictable target to land shots on. Instead, you should try to be as unpredictable as possible. I mean, your enemies can have good aim, but it's going to be a lot tougher for them if they don't know where you're going to be 1 second from the next. So in short, don't run in a straight line, zigzag, move unpredictably. Your enemies are going to miss their shots. And while we're on the topic of juking, one key part that I didn't mention is that for most brawlers, you want to stay at a far distance. I mean, yes, there are some brawlers that you're going to want to get as close to as you can, like Bull or Leon, but playing against them is a very different story since they deal more damage when they're really close up, so you're going to want to avoid that. However, you should always try to stay at the max range of your brawler unless they're meant to play really close. Trust me, it'll work out way better for you. But you know what doesn't work? Kamikazing. I cannot even begin to tell you how frustrating it is to see your teammate running towards the entire enemy team all by themselves, only to die because they didn't have the backup that they needed to survive and win. And more often than not, it will lead to your defeat, and you're just feeding the other team their supers, which is going to make everything snowball and even worse. I mean, look, I get it. We've all been there. You see some juicy power cubes and you really want to get it, but it's going to be risky to try. It's probably not going to work out well for you. Or perhaps the timer is ticking away and you need to make your move soon, but your teammates are dead and the other team is at full strength. Just try to resist that urge to charge in and be the hero. It won't end well.
Oh my god, he just ran in.
And while, yes, it's not impossible to solo the enemy team because there are some brawlers that do have the power to do so with a super like a Terra, but it's just generally safer just to fall back, heal up, wait for your teammates, and you can all charge in together. Like Chester says,
teamwork makes the dream work!
And since we're talking about teamwork, allow me to give you some tips for every one of Brawl Stars' mainstay game modes, as well as a little bit for duels and Showdown too. Let's start with the classic mode, Gem Grab. Now in Gem Grab, your team should have different roles, from an attacker to a control, and most importantly, a gem carrier. Now, if you are the one tasked with holding the gems, the most important thing for you to do is stay safe. Do not take unnecessary risks. Make sure the coast is clear before you go pick up that gem in the middle. Keep track of your teammates and the enemies around the map so that you don't get ambushed. Play it safe because the entire team is counting on you not to die and to hand over those gems. For Brawl Ball, believe it or not, your teammates can score goals too.
Wow.
I know, crazy, right? I know. It's fun to have your name pop up on the screen for the goal, but don't be a ball hog. If you got a teammate that's further up the map than you, pass it to them. And if they do a quick few spins, they're probably telling you to pass the ball to them because they have a chance at scoring. So please be a good teammate and always be looking out for someone who has the best chance of scoring. And that person's not always going to be you. For Bounty, Wipeout, and Knockout, you want to play passively and try to wither your enemies down as the match goes on. When the entire purpose of the mode is to get kills, do everything that you can not to put yourself in a bad spot where death is likely. Especially in Knockout, because it's tough enough to win a 3v3, but if your team is now facing a 2v3 or a 1v3, your chances of walking away with trophies just got drastically worse. And trust me, you do not want to be that guy who dies first. For Brawl Arena, you should focus on defeating as many bots as possible. The more bots you defeat, the more XP you'll gain. And the more XP you get, the more you're going to level up. The more you level up, the stronger and faster and tankier you will be, making it very hard for the enemy team to kill you. It is a huge snowball effect. Once you get powerful enough, you can steamroll the other team. Additionally, make sure that your team is the one that kills the kaiju if it lasts that long. It's basically a free win if you do. You can even go in there and steal the kill of the kaiju. Let the enemy team do all the dirty work. Wear them down, take down their HP. As long as you get in there and land that killing blow, you got the buff, and when you do, it's like GG. You're almost invincible. For Hot Zone, you want to make sure that you're avoiding enemy attacks as much as possible, which you always normally want to, but staying in that zone is the main objective, and the less you get hit, the more you can stay in there. Or even better, if there are walls inside the zone, like parallel plays, Just hide and run around those walls like it's a game of Ring Around the Rosie. Okay, this tip for heist is very specific, and it has to do with a certain brawler type. If you see an enemy, Jesse or Nita, or any brawler with a spawnable who are on your safe without their super, leave them alone. Just like, do not engage. I see players make this mistake all the time, and it always goes something like this. There's an enemy Jessie, and she's just slowly chipping away at their safe, so your teammate decides they should try to fight her instead of focusing on the main objective, the enemy safe. Instead, they go to fight her, they charge up her super, and then she has this thing that is going to absolutely melt your safe and lose you the match. These type of brawlers with their supers can tear your safe to shreds, but on their own, they're practically worthless, so please, just ignore them, and they're going to be dead weight for their teammates. Also, don't play Kit in Heist. And speaking of Kit, I recommend you start off your duels match with him, or at least any other type of brawler who automatically charges their super, like Buzz, Daryl, Edgar, etc. This is so that you can charge up your super and your hypercharge, as what you filled of that respective meter carries over to your next brawler in your party. So even if you lose a round and you've built up a hypercharge, that brawler may be dead, but your next brawler is ready to go. And once you're ready to go into solo showdown, one thing that you should always do there is scout the bushes. Like, anyone can be anywhere, and if you don't check the bushes before you enter them, the next thing you know, you've been blasted to smithereens by a Shelly super. It's the classic meme because it's true. And even if you did check the bushes, you know what? It might not hurt just to double check, because enemy could juke your shot and just move her over in the bush. You know what? Just triple check it. Just to be sure. That's all I'm saying. It's got some bad memories there. Another tip I'd suggest for you is not to spam your ammo out when you're getting power cubes. There's nothing worse than just spamming out your shots, and then here comes a brawler, and you've got nothing to protect yourself. Collecting power cubes may be very important, but even if you do collect a lot of them, it won't matter if you're the first to die. So just use one shot at a time unless you're really sure that there's no one around. And speaking of power cubes, in duo and trio showdown, you always want to wait for your teammates to completely respawn before you collect any power cubes, if you can help it. This is extremely important. I have had way too many bad randoms pick up power cubes before my countdown timer is even halfway done, and it's always such a bad feeling. It's always better for you to wait for your teammate to respawn so that they also get the advantage of the stat boost from those power cubes. And with those tips, I'm sure you're going to be playing like a master in no time. But do you have any tips of your own? Please share them in the comments down below.